Ingrid Liepa. I've been asked to host this evening and just keep things moving in a smooth way. And I'd like to just acknowledge the Chamber, in terms of the Chamber of Commerce, for all its efforts in putting together these candidate forums. Lots of work behind the scenes. And so, when you get a chance to see the directors and the manager, just, say thank you. This is a great opportunity for us to come together as a community. A couple of housekeeping items. We're going to be going for 2 hours straight without a break. And that is so that you can hear as much as possible from all these fantastic candidates. I'm going to ask that if you have cell phones, could you please turn them off right now? And also, if you need to leave the auditorium for any reason, if you could just do so quietly. And the same goes for the candidates. They may have to leave at one time or another, so this is the reality of going for 2 hours without a break. Another piece is that we need to have everybody out of the building by 9:30 p.m., so no exceptions. We're going to end promptly at 9 o'clock, so there will be another half hour before everybody has to leave to continue mingling with the candidates and essentially debriefing the evening. The structure for this evening is we're going to hear from each of the candidates. There's been a random draw in terms of presentation orders. They will have 2 minutes for the campaign presentations. That's going to be followed by a question period where we're going to be asking 12 questions, and 4 candidates are going to be drawn to answer each question. And so you'll be hearing from each candidate at least 3 times, and they will be having a minute to answer the question. And finally, after the question session is done, there'll be a 90-second segment where the candidates will be able to offer closing remarks. Thank you, all of you who put up questions and issues and visions of success for 2014 on the boards out there. Really, really valuable information. It's a great way to give voice to our community and bring forward what's top of mind for Kimberlites. We're going to be using your input to drive or to create the questions that are going to the candidates tonight. So again, thank you. And we're going to have those boards up again tomorrow. So if there's something that you think of overnight, come back tomorrow and get your friends and your family also to bring on those questions. You already see something out there that you go, oh geez, that's my question. Don't worry. Put up the same question, because that in itself says something about what's important to the community. So finally, before we get started, I just wanted to acknowledge the courage, the service, the care, the commitment, the leadership, and the willingness to assume responsibility of these 16 candidates behind me. And I know you're going to be a great and supportive audience. You're going to be listening intently to what they have to share, and ultimately want everybody to have an extremely successful evening.
Do we need the lights off?
Do we need the lights off? Good question. Would people, I can't see out there. So.
What's it for the camera? Is it okay for the camera?
Can we raise the lights a little bit? Off. There we go. That looks like a good compromise. So, we've got the candidate order here on the podium. It's up to the candidates whether they wish to come up to the podium or speak from their seats and so on, and we'll leave that up to them. And I'm going to call on our first candidate, number 5, Patty Weston.
Thank you, Ingrid. Welcome, everyone. It's great to see so many people out. My name is Patty Weston, and I'm a current city councillor. My first term has been a rigorous and enjoyable apprenticeship. I understand the challenges of balancing infrastructure needs, funding economic initiatives, and supporting community organizations while keeping tax increases to a minimum. In the last 3 years, I've learned about capital projects, development permits, zoning, elevators, debentures, trucks, mains, pipes, cost of prisoners, cost of pavement, cost of grants. OCPs, ICSPs, PRVs, IPPs, 3Ps, GHGs. And yet I'm still stuck on what to do about the dog do. My top priorities are strengthening and diversifying Kimberley's economy, infrastructure maintenance, good management of everyone's tax dollars, and promoting respectful communication all around. My career background includes owning and operating a small business, 13 years of retail management experience, 10 years of frontline service in the provincial government, and various roles of working for nonprofit community organization. All this experience serves me well on council. While on council, I've spoken with provincial ministers advocating for our community on a range of topics as part of the Kimberley delegations at our annual conventions. I've brought forward resolutions and spoke to issues of importance to our city. I know the ropes, I'm up on current issues, and I'm keen to address the challenges and the opportunities that lie ahead. I have worked hard for you, and I will continue to do so if re-elected.
I'm Dave McFadden. I would like to reiterate Patty's comment. It's wonderful to see you all tonight. 16 candidates, it's a pretty good race, and I'm glad to see the interest in the community. Heather and I came to Kimberley nearly 20 years ago when we opened and operated the Grub Steak Diner, now known as Grub Steak Pizza. With dedication, commitment, and strong support from the community, it grew into a very successful operation. During this time, I've been actively involved in the community, contributing to Selkirk High School, Kimberley Dynamiters, and the food bank, just to name a few. I feel I have gained valuable experience through my participation in the Rotary Club, Youth for Kimberley Society, Kimberley Restaurant, and others. During my presidency in Rotary, we built a playground and washroom facility, a place that continues to hold appeal for young families. This involved working closely with the city and was a most successful collaboration. Having spent many years on the board of the Youth for Kimberley Society, I am proud to have been involved in the successful raising of the funds to purchase outright the building that then hosted the Lee Haskell Youth Center, now the Spark. Okay. It's been a pleasure raising 3 children, and I'm most delighted to have that 2 of them have been able to remain in town. It is now my great joy to have 2 wonderful grandchildren and to watch them grow up here in Kimberley. I would like to encourage a stronger local economy with diversified labor base not totally dependent on the tourism industry. I don't think anyone has an easy answer for this goal. But we must seek opportunities and encourage development. It will take time. My vision is to see Kimberley as a healthy, vibrant community with an economy that allows our children to stay here, raise their families, and enjoy our mountain lifestyle. Thank you. Thank you all.
Could you speak louder when you give your name? I didn't get your name.
Dave McFadden, sorry.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Madam Moderator, fellow candidates, ladies and gentlemen. First, as indicated in the bulletin comments, I feel we have a great group of talented candidates, but, and this is important, it takes time, some think a full year, some more, to become a fully contributing councillor. I really felt a duty to put my name forth, and I was under some pressure to do so. I won't make any grandiose promises because, frankly, the city can't afford it. Many people don't realize that we are still operating with a negative budget, drawing down the surplus built up before Kamiko's closing at the end of 2001. For some time, we shall still be operating close to the line, which requires close management type financial and administrative involvement. An example of this in the community is that we're patching instead of paving. Fortunately, we have a first-class senior staff, including a real gem of a chief financial officer in Holly Ronquist. The task ahead is to manage through this difficult time, which is complicated by the scary economic and employment forecasts and the senior government's deficits and debt. My vision is a self-sustaining, healthy community, maintaining our quality of life, but hopefully adding some other revenues to augment our tourism. If re-elected, I promise to once again work very hard on your behalf. Thank you.
Good evening. Everybody hear me? I'm Darrell Oakley, running for City Council. And before you start the clock, Siobhan, just a housekeeping thing. I know there's some concern out there that I took Tower 18 and moved it down to the foyer here. I did not do that. Tower 18 is safe on top of the ski hill, just so you know. Okay. In 1920, an interesting little event happened in Kimberley. My grandfather, Newt Oakley, moved to this town. He walked into this town with his new bride, Maggie O'Sullivan. She was directly from County Cork in Southern Ireland. They made a decision and a choice to stay here. They could have moved on. They chose to stay here. In 1926, they had a son. They named him Patrick John Oakley. And that son grew up here, and he was my father. And he went to school in California and became a master aviation mechanic. And he had jobs anywhere to go in the world. He could have gone anywhere. He chose to come back to Kimberley and buy Brown's Garage. And that's a choice he made. He made a choice to stay here. In 1956, I was born here. And even though I went away to school and I worked up north, thank you, Siobhan, 1 minute left, great. Even though I worked up north, I came back here. I made a choice to bring my family here. If elected to council, I will do what I've been doing for the last 7 years with the Alzheimer's Society of British Columbia. I have been keeping a close eye on the financial ball. Everything stems from that. All the good things that will happen in this community stem from keeping a very close eye on the financial ball. Tax revenue has got to come into this town. We need to grow it a bit. We need new families here. That's very, very important to me. I will keep a close eye on the financial ball. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Craig Hillman. Purple shirt, purple signs. You've seen them around. I want to thank Ingrid and Siobhan and Craig and everybody who's organized the evening tonight. It is really great to see the number of people that we have in the audience, and it's really great to see the number of candidates who've put their names forward to serve the community. We have 2 minutes. I can't give you my resume in 2 minutes, but I think there are a lot of qualities that I can bring to City Council and a lot of experience. My wife and I operate a business in town, so I have a business perspective. I've also been active on lots of boards, nonprofit societies, so I understand the financial cycle, the importance of balancing budgets and managing funding. I was an educational administrator, and I have managed budgets of in excess of $3 million a year, so the big numbers don't scare me away, nor do the 80 pages of financial statements that we need to go through. The other things that I bring in terms of leadership is an approach that I think is inclusive of all perspectives. I'm not running for City Council because I think I have all the answers to all of the ideas or the problems. I'm not running for council to bring my issues to the table and force them upon people. My feeling is that leadership is about listening to people, about taking all the various views and the information and making sound decisions in the best interests of the community. That's my commitment if I'm running for council. If I'm on council, I'll do what I can so that everybody has their views heard, everybody has their perspectives understood, and that we make the best possible decisions for our community. So I'm committed to leadership, I'm committed to principles, and I'm committed to a balanced approach. And I ask for your support. My name is Craig Hillman. Thank you.
Is on. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. When asked to consider running for council, my first question was, what can I bring to the position that will be beneficial? So here's the Reader's Digest condensed version of who I am and what I represent. Although I've worked with people my whole life, my tenure with BC Parks is where I gained in-depth experience working with different levels of government, staff, and the public to make changes in the park system, which were often controversial. My responsibilities included developing provincial revenue collection systems to control millions of dollars in campground fees, the introduction of the volunteer campground host program, working with persons with disabilities through the Disabled Access Program, developing standards of performance when parks were contracted to the private sector. In addition, I was charged with the task of developing and implementing the BC Parks' campground reservation service at no cost to government, and that was done by going to the private sector. My experiences basically told me I was project-oriented. I'm not the kind of person that takes on a task unless I'm quite sure I have something to offer and I can get things accomplished. I'm a realist. I'm not a pessimist, which means I embrace change as long as it's not just for the sake of change, and I have a passion for challenges. Since moving to Kimberley, I've volunteered on the Underground Mining Railway Curling Club. I'm currently the Secretary-Treasurer of the Kimberley Trap and Skeet Club, and I'm Chairman of the Kimberley Urban Deer Committee. My areas of interest as councillor would be the resolution of Kimberley's urban deer problems, business development, upgrading and maintaining the city's infrastructure, the Sun Mine proposal, and maintaining fiscal responsibility. Kimberley is a great place to live, work, and recreate. As a councillor, my goal would be to retain and improve those values.
He is Ron Kerr. I am Don McCormick. And I am very pleased to be here with such an energetic audience this evening. Several factors have caused me to run for City Council. The 10-year financial plan that was put in place when the Sullivan Mine closed is coming to an end. Tourism is not providing the kind of prosperity that our residents and business community needs. And nothing seems to happen in town without a grant. Our tourism potential is great. We have a great tourism product, and we definitely want to get all the grant money that we possibly can, but these two things together don't represent a sustainable economic development strategy. I want to be part of the leadership team that is going to attack this problem over the next 3 years and longer. The Sun Mine development is an excellent start at diversification. So my top priority is economic development and new business development, which means jobs, and it means new tax money coming into town. New tax money and jobs pave the way for community development. And it all starts with a marketing and a financial plan and a strategy that attracts, I should say, entrepreneurs, business investment, and retirees coming to town and generating tax money in our community. I have a solid business and marketing technology background, which makes me ideally suited for the task at hand. And I have to admit, as I'm sure many of the other candidates do, that I do not have all the answers at this point in time, but what I do have are problem-solving skills and negotiating skills that can discover and resolve the challenges that we have in front of us. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tim Park, and I'm honored to share this occasion with you. Thank you. Our great-grandchildren are going to face the same issues of living that we face, and so for that very reason, I'm going to talk about not the issues, but the process. two things I believe that our council can do to increase or to increase the community's involvement. And the first is the communication. The way in which we communicate as a community truly needs to change. We need to change it so that it creates a sense of openness. And through that openness, we get knowledge about what's going on in our community. And then we'll gain a certain amount of trust that things are going to actually get done. And the second item is the process. A councillor, from my perspective, is not somebody who will take your hand and tell you this is how you have to live. That's not the way it should work. A council is your conduit, a community member's conduit to get things done based on your wishes. And it's going to take more than just a council. Through that communication process, we have the ability to unlock the intellect of this community. There's some really, truly brilliant people here that are dying to say something, dying to be a part of the process, and require that avenue, which is through the communication and through the council that you see in front of you. The opportunity and the potential that the community has are truly amazing. I mean, Kimberley can be on the leading edge of what a community can be, but it's going to take all of us. Every single member of this community, we're all in the same boat together, and so rather than have somebody leading you, we can all do this together. And that's what it's going to take, is a unified community and a unified council, and working together through love and compassion and all the things that are going to take to get it done. Thank you very much.
My name is Melissa Broadhurst. I'm 34 years of age and was born, educated, and now working as a long-term care aide in this wonderful community. I've been active in the community for many years, starting in my teens as coordinator of the Candy Striper program at the former Kimberley Hospital and also the Kimberley Special Care Home. I was coordinator in a religious education and many years as a coach for young girls softball. I have been interested in politics for many years, and lately I have been told that this is an inherited trait from both sets of my grandparents as well as my parents. I have always felt that it is important to step forward and help those who are in need of assistance and who may not know where to go for help. Running for council is another direction I wish to take, as I feel it is important not only to be heard, but to be willing to step forward and work hard for whatever the problem is. In my work with MLA Norm MacDonald, I was faced on a daily basis with issues from constituents who need assistance, and my experience in his office offered me a great opportunity to work with all levels of government to determine what could be done to hopefully reach a positive resolution to the problem. My work in the healthcare industry has shown me that while change is often necessary, we need to protect the most vulnerable while ensuring the changes are made for the right reasons, keeping in mind the fiscal responsibility for all involved. If elected, I will work hard for the residents of Kimberley, and while I firmly believe that we all must embrace change in order to succeed, we must also listen very carefully to what the issues are beforehand and help decisions made. I'm young but willing to step forward and work together with the mayor and council, and will be open-minded to all the issues that come before me. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is David Chineko. My wife and I retired to Kimberley 5.5 years ago. We could have moved anywhere, and we chose Kimberley. We chose Kimberley because it is what it is, not as a project to change. In those 5 years, I've been going to city council meetings on a regular basis. I'm very interested in civic politics. Also in the last 5 years, I've been contributing to the community as a fireman and a member of Kimberley Search and Rescue. I have a BSc in chemical engineering, I have a second-class team ticket, I'm well educated, and have a strong business background. What makes my platform stand out in this crowd is that it's founded on openness and transparency. What makes my claims of openness and transparency stand out from the multitudes of politicians who have made this claim is that I have the tools in place and working to make it happen. Check it out. I have a website, cherneko.ca. It's working now. If I get into council, It is my intention to write about what I'm doing and what council is doing on a fairly regular basis. I'm hoping this will create more communication between council and the community. I believe that this engagement and resulting scrutiny will create more accountability at City Hall. I believe everyone will benefit from this, even if you're not on the internet or not that interested in City Hall. As more accountability will push City Hall to do things just a little bit better. This is how we enable common sense. This is how we encourage defendable actions by the municipality. So give me a shot at this. Let's see what I can do with it. Vote for David Chineko. Thank you.
That's fast. I was paying too much attention. I'm Lori Pearson. This is my second time putting myself forward for City Council. These lights are kind of fun. Anyways, I see this as an exciting time for Kimberley, as demonstrated by all the people putting their names forward. I think it's a great time for all of you to be able to pick some fresh faces that reflect the views of the community. A little bit of my history with Kimberley is I used to come and visit here as a child and stayed up in Townsite and swam at McDougall Pool and all of these kinds of things. I took my nursing and I moved back here in 1996. I moved here because of the lifestyle and because I love Kimberley. I worked at the Kimberley Hospital until it closed. My union sent me at the time. I had no union involvement at the time, but they sent me to do a press conference in Vancouver to try to address the issue of the hospital closing. Apparently I didn't make the difference. Anyways, back to why I stayed. I've stayed here because of the lifestyle, and I think that we need to promote the lifestyle that's here and build on what we have. I've seen that the summer recreation here is kind of slowly dwindled since I moved here. You know, the ski hill doesn't operate, the chairlift in the summer, the pools are closed for kids in the summer, those kinds of things. And I think we need to readdress those issues. You know, looking at the ski hill, opening the chairlift, having mountain biking, taking the opportunities that we can have with Mark Creek now, possible water features, those kinds of things. I think we need to look at our natural assets and build on those. I see the role as a councillor of being one that requires tapping into the challenges of the community. And people ask me my opinion, and yes, I have one, but I believe the role of the councillor is to bring forth the views of the people and address those. Thanks.
I gotta put my cheaters on here first.
For you that don't know me, my name is Albert Hodland. I was born and raised in Kimberley. I'm married. My wife Lynn was a practical nurse in Kimberley and she's now retired. We raised 3 wonderful boys. 2 live in Kimberley, 1 lives in Leduc. I've been on council for 23 years and I hope to serve another 3 years. People ask me why. When I first came on council, I did it because I wanted to give back to the community and I still want to do that. I enjoy it, I find it interesting, and the thing is, the role of a councillor is to work for you people. You're our bosses, the 6,000 people that live in this community. I feel I've always been approachable to you people. You can phone me at home, email me, and I try to get back to you as quick as I can. I believe I bring a strong voice to council. I'm not afraid to speak out. I'm not afraid to argue with the mayor, other councillors. And I'm not afraid to apologize if I make a mistake. I bring your voice, and I've been saying that for 23 years. I enjoy it, I still like to do it. The past 3 years, I think Kimberley's had a very good beginning and a very nice, not quite ending yet, but a lot of projects were done. And Mr. McCormick is right when he says Kimberley works on grants, but grants aren't free either. You still have to have the other money to put in there. There's been lots of projects done. The library's been renovated. Peak to Plattsville Trail, the rails to trails have been done. The conference center, Imagine Kimberley, which was a process you people took part in that looked what is Kimberley going to be like in 2025. That was a very important thing that we did here. our OCP is up for renewal next year, and that's a very part of Kimberley that's got to be looked at and looked at the right way. Anyway, I've been just told I got 10 seconds to go. I enjoy working for you. I feel like I said I bring a strong voice and open-headedness to council, and I ask for your support on November 19th to re-elect me to council. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Laurel Ralston. I'm relatively new to town. I've been here for 5 years. And it feels at once like it's been much longer than that and like it's been only a few days. So I just want to tell you a little bit about myself for those of you who don't know me. I'm a musician. I've managed to come here and make a go of it as a professional musician. And what I do regularly is that I'm a conductor. I conduct the community band. I conduct a choir at the United Church, and I formerly conducted the community choir as well. And you may wonder where I'm going with this, or why you might want a musician on council. And I want to tell you that what the wonderful part of being a conductor is, what the wonderful part of being both an artist and a leader at the same time is that you have the chance to hear the potential in a lot of, in a very diverse range of people. I work with musicians who are amateurs, and I work with musicians who are professionals. And I work with people who don't realize just what they are able to accomplish until they've had a chance to prove it to themselves. And my job is to give them that chance to prove it to themselves and to give them a chance to be more as a group than they are as an individual. I want to, in all of my work, musical and otherwise, I like to leave my group, my work, in a better state at the end than it was at the beginning. And that is what I want to bring to council. I am a bridge builder. I like to hear all of the details. I like to look for the big picture. And I like to help to combine all of the small things, all the small elements into a great success. Kimberley's got a whole lot of great projects going on right now. And I'm very, very excited to be a part of that future. Thank you.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Kent Goodwin. It's great to see you all out tonight, and thank you to the Chamber for organizing this event. For those of you that don't know me, I thought I'd start with a bit of a biography. I was born in Kimberley in 1953, and I went to school here till I was about 12, when my dad was transferred to Saskatoon to help Cominco build a potash mine. I went to high school and 1 year of university in Saskatoon, and then spent a number of years traveling and working in a variety of places from the Northwest Territories to Northern Africa to South America. I settled in Calgary in 1976, where I married my wife Ruth and took a 4-year apprenticeship in cabinet making. In 1981, when our first son was born, we moved back to Kimberley, and I was hired by the school district, where I worked as a cabinet maker in the maintenance department for 26 years. During this time in Kimberley, I helped to found and then to steward 3 nonprofit societies: the Kimberley Nature Park Society, the environmental group Wild Site, and the Kimberley and District Community Foundation. The foundation has been active and growing for 10 years, and the other 2 groups have been thriving for 25. 3 years ago, at the age of 55, I retired from the school board, and I am now keen to take on the new challenge of being a city councillor. I'm excited about the opportunities that being on council will give me to learn about and contribute to all aspects of our town. I am confident that my skills at problem solving and consensus building will help me steer Kimberley in the direction that you, the residents, want it to go. I am hopeful that your vision of Kimberley includes a safe, affordable, vibrant community with a diversified economy, competitive tax rates, and a healthy mix of long-term residents and enthusiastic newcomers. I hope you will give me the opportunity to work for you on City Council. Thank you very much.
Good evening, and again,
As everybody has mentioned here, it's really great to see this amount of people out here and show this amount of support for the election and have this many people running. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Darren Close. My family and I originally moved here in 2002 where we ran a small restaurant operation. I don't know if anybody remembers Savory, but we left shortly, about a year or so after that, for a short hiatus on the coast. We've been back here full time since 2005. I'm now involved in the peaks and valleys world of real estate, so I have a little bit of extra free time, which I intend to devote entirely to city council. The one thing about working in real estate is I am self-employed, and it does provide a lot of flexibility. It's that flexibility that affords me to be involved with the schools as a former treasurer for the Lindsay Park PAC Committee, as well as one of the organizers for the Hot Lunch program that was there. It also allows me a lot of opportunity to spend with my kids, like coaching in minor hockey, and I imagine I coach a lot of your kids in minor hockey as well. I love spending time with the kids. I love to encourage and foster growth in positive ways, and they're our future, and I think what we can do to support them and bring them up is always beneficial, because 20 years from now, 30 years from now, they're the ones who will be standing up here on stage. It's clear that there's a strong voice for change here in Kimberley, and while I certainly have a great deal of respect for past and present council and all the work that they have done, I think change is inevitable. We must embrace it, and we must face the challenges it brings head on. I believe in a balanced council, and I'm encouraged by the support thus far in the community that I've had back in my campaign to be part of that balance. I believe everybody has an opinion, and everybody's opinion is valid. As council, we're a half dozen charged with representing 7,000. It's fundamentally important that we have the ability to meet and talk and be available and listen to what you guys have to say. Please vote for me today. Thanks.
Last but not least, thank you everyone for coming and listening to us. Thank you for putting it on. My name is Bev Middlebrook, for those that you don't know me, and I've lived in Kimberley since 1978. I met people in Lethbridge at college, and that's how I ended up here. I have been director of the Chamber of Commerce, as well as a daily publisher or daily bulletin publisher for 5 years. The last 5 years I've been very dedicated to the youth center, making sure it stays open, which is not an easy job. This word sustainability I know oh so well. I have education and experience in leadership, human resources, PR, management, the arts, recreation, grant writing, and business. To council, I'd like to bring my top strengths and achievements, which are leadership and hard work. I have brought over $500,000 into this community in the last 5 years through grant writing. This has brought jobs to the community, it supported nonprofits, it assisted multi-barriered youth find employment and move on in their life, becoming residents and contributing residents to this community. The other part has been through fundraising, and I've done the fall fair for 4 years now as the chair and was booth coordinator. The first year tripled the profits, and we give those to the nonprofits in the community. I am the coordinator for the MS Walk in Kimberley and Cranbrook, and it's my 4th year as well. And this year, we were the only community that had a surplus from last year in all of BC. I feel that this is a proven track record in leadership. I have creativity and vision. I am strong in business. I've instructed classes. I have solid working relationships with all the community resources. I'm action orientated. In close, I've lived a good life in this community, and people have done their share to ensure my great quality of life, and I feel it's my turn to step forward and give back. Thank you.
Thank you very much, all of you. We're now going to move into the question component of the evening. And so thanks to all of your input, we've generated 12 questions, which I've got in my hands here. And Craig is going to hand me the speaking order. so that the candidates can see this. So you guys aren't numbers, really. But we have used numbers to simplify the process. So the first question, I'll just read. And what it is Kimberley has many vacant and substandard properties. How can this be remedied and the city's appearance improved? So if you could just raise your hand so people know which order. So we've got Lori, and then 6 is Jack, and 15, Dawn, and 13, Tim. Great. And just to appreciate these folks who are going up first have had no time to really think about this. They are on their feet, so. Yes, absolutely. The question is, Kimberley has many vacant and substandard properties. How can this be remedied and the city's appearance improved?
And Ingrid, 1 minute response?
1 minute for the response. And I'm going to, for this part of the for this segment, I'm going to just ask questions from over here. And you guys see the numbers here? Yep. Great. Almost. You can kind of coach each other, right?
That's an interesting question. I had some people talking about that earlier tonight. The challenges that people have that own properties in town, the challenges of investing money into those, whether they be rental properties or properties that they own themselves. I think looking at opportunities to improve the economy here is what you need to do to be able to allow people to have that extra monies to put into revitalization of their properties and the upkeep that there is. So I think we need to look at those opportunities and be creative in how we're going to expand our economy and ensure that that people have that income to keep up their homes and properties. Thanks.
That question has faced us over the years. Kimberley does have a bylaw that looks after property appearance. It's not a tight bylaw. It costs a fortune to really force it on the populace. And we really count on the people and their neighbors to push hard with their neighbors to upgrade each individual neighborhood as much as you possibly can. If it's a safety problem, there's no problem with the city getting tough and enforcing it. If it's not safety, it's a long and difficult process. And off the top, I don't think there's any real quick solution to it.
As Jack just said, with many of these issues, there is no real quick answer to it. If there were, we wouldn't have delinquent properties. I believe that we have standards that are in place. We have to look to enforcing those standards and be diligent in working through the various issues. And believe me, every one of these is undoubtedly a one-off. But that doesn't mean that the standards that are put in place should be ignored. We need to work through and enforce the standards.
I'm going to take just a slightly different perspective on that. I'm going to suggest that based on what I said initially with regard to communication and community being involved in the whole situation, the energy behind the community will change as we evolve, and those derelict properties, the people who own them will see that through communication amongst the neighbors, how you'll communicate with your neighbors will change, and they'll see that, well, having a derelict property doesn't do any good for them, and having an empty lot, we just might be able to fill those empty lots with somebody moving in if we deal with these things differently than we already are, and that's through communication and compassion for your neighbors.
Hey, Greg, your sound system's way too loud.
Thank you. Yeah.
Too loud? I agree.
So if I could ask Ray to adjust the sound.
Just get them to pull the mic away from their mouth.
Mic away from
Your mic, okay, and you guys not to talk like this.
modulation.
All right. So the next question that is up from the audience, how's that? Is that okay? Great. What are your feelings and thoughts about water meters? And so we have got Dave Chernako and then Tim Park again. Closing off will be Patty Weston. So again, the question, what are your thoughts and feelings about water meters?
My thoughts and feelings about water meters. Well, as a chemical engineer, we like to measure things. And, you know, if you really want to control and get a handle on water consumption in Kimberley, you put in water meters. Although I don't think that the residents of British Columbia have a very good appetite for that type of thing. So, you know, if right now Kimberley has a fair bit of water, I don't think we have a water issue in terms of volume and how much is available. So for the interim, you do nothing because it's a fairly expensive thing to do, is to install lots of water meters. If we ever need to manage how much water is consumed in this community, that's how you fix it.
Please remind us who you are.
David Chernako.
And I'm Tim Park. Is that too loud?
Yes.
Sorry about that. How's that? Okay, sorry about that. Water meters. Water meters boil down to the fact that, well, A, they're very expensive to install in the whole community, which we don't have the money because we're spending it on sun mine or whatever else. And the second and more important issue with that is that it comes back to education and communication. It comes back to education and communication once again, whereas when we establish ourselves as a community through a community that communicates to each other with different energy, then you're going to be able to talk to your neighbors. You're going to see that the importance of the water meter or the water in our situation and water in our environment is very important to us. And for that matter, we won't need to buy water meters. We won't need water meters because we will take responsibility for ourselves.
Water meters, again, sorry, Darren Close. I think that they have their place. I don't necessarily think that we have a need for them here in Kimberley at the moment, regardless of how much water we think we have or how long it will last us. I think no matter what, it's always important to keep an eye on that level. If the time comes to ever need a water meter in place, obviously it's something that can be looked into. I don't see it in the foreseeable future. I think in general, I noticed with my neighbors and I myself as well, I'm very conscious and conservative with the amount of water that we use in our yard. And again, it's something that we can see and we can recognize in our neighborhood. I think that as a community in general, we do a sufficient job of monitoring our own levels and do what we can to reduce overconsumption.
Thanks, Darren. Patty Weston here. My thoughts on water meters is yes, they would give us good information. What we do know right now is that Kimberley's water consumption is extremely high, even by Canadian standards, which is very high compared to the rest of the globe. So I would, certainly the city has taken measures to help people be more conservative about water. About the meters themselves, it would give us information, and information helps us make good choices. At the same time, the water meters are very expensive, and so I wouldn't be looking at doing that in this community. I think that, as others have said, we, education is the way that we can go, and we can all voluntarily take responsibility, and that includes with the city's operation to be as conservative as we can. So that's my thoughts. My feelings about water is that my concern about meters is the potential of it becoming seen as a commodity, and water is a human right that we need to protect.
All right, next Next question. So, how can council be more transparent? And leading off will be the guy with the mic. That would be Craig. And then we'll have Daryl, and then we will have Laurel, and capping off will be, again, Patty Weston.
Sound check. Okay. For council to be transparent, we need to have structures in place. We need to have reports going out on a regular basis. We need to update our website. We need to put information up there in a timely way. And we need to look at communicating to people in languages that they can understand. I look at the paper and I see the official city notices with all the fancy legal words and stuff like that. It doesn't really tell most people what we're doing. I think we have to, put an ad beside that ad that says, this is what this means. It means we're changing something on your street. Does that impact you? And I know we have to do the legal stuff, that's what the law says, but I think we have to also communicate in a way that people can understand. And we need to find lots of different ways to engage people, because not everybody gets the paper. A lot of people don't. I get it online and it works really well, but we have to find ways so that all parts of the community are engaged, and that way we can be transparent.
Can you hear me? Daryl Oakley. I had a really good answer on the derelict building figured out, and then they changed the question. I have been involved for probably 15 years in an organization called Toastmasters. Some of you may have heard that. Very important. It's all based on communication, and it's all based on getting the message across in a clear and concise manner. And the process of transparency and openness in this town is going to take about 1,000 different things, including open and accessible areas in City Hall, times where you can meet people, clearly identified. The website obviously is another way, but not everybody has a computer. Not everybody gets the bulletin, although most do. I think it's going to take a lot of listening, first of all, to find out what your needs are and how you'd actually like to hear from City Hall. Thank you.
My name's Laurel Ralston, just doing around here. So a lot of good things have been said already, and I can tell you that as a person involved with nonprofits here, I'm the president of the Kimberley Arts Council, and we are constantly trying to promote events, and it's a struggle for us to figure out how to make sure that we get the message out to everybody who needs to know. And one of the things that is very, very important for us is cross-pollination. It's making sure that your message gets out in every possible avenue. And if you have an organization that's really, really motivated to get that message out, if you had a business that was trying to sell something, it was really important to sell something, they'd find a way to do it. So I hope that the city would take the same kind of effort. We had an alternative vote process earlier this fall, and I found out about it through word of mouth, and I kind of feel like that sort of thing should be really very, very accessible to a community and really promote engagement. If you want to look at my website, laurelralston.ca, I've got a great TED Talk that addresses exactly this issue.
Patty Weston again. I think this is a really important issue, and it's one of the reasons that I ran in the first place, and I have certainly worked on better communication with the community in general. There's a lot of different factors. I would like to see us figure out how we can get the council meeting taped. One of my goals also was to make council meetings more entertaining, more interesting, and with more lively debate. And I thought, if they are more lively, which I'm sure they will be with all the strong, fine people here, that people will be more interested in attending the council meetings and the internal committee meetings, which are public and everyone is welcome to. I've also advocated and would like to continue advocating that we do quarterly reports out to the community with the utility bills. Also think the city could look at having a Facebook page. I certainly agree with Craig that when we do the ads in the paper, that we also need to do them in plain English. And we also need a procedure to take things out of in camera.
All right, new speaking order. So first off is going to be Ron. Ron, then Dave McFadden, then Albert Hogland, and then Bev Middlebrook. And they are going to be answering this question: what is your position on the Sun Mine project?
Is that okay? I'm Ron Kerr still. Sun Mine project, I support it. I'm all for new initiatives. I don't have a whole lot more information than probably a lot of you people do. But what I do have, all I can say is I think that it's probably something that Kimberley should try. I think it would help put us on a map. I think it would be good for our economy. I can appreciate that it may not create a lot of jobs, but I definitely think that it's something we should do.
Thank you. Bill, I'm sorry about this. I love the Sun Mine. I practiced my speech out in Ontario, and you don't want to hear what it was, but basically, power is power. And I think it'll grease the skids of industry. It gives us something to grow on. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful project. Thank you. I'm Dave McFadden.
I'm Albert Hogland, and I also support the Sun Mine. And I guess being on council, we had a lot more information than you people had. But hopefully with the things that went out in the mail, the information will be passed on to you people. I think it's a project that makes good use of a brownfield site, which will help Cominco out, and I think it'll help our community to be known as the first solar city in Western Canada. But the thing is, it doesn't matter how I feel, because it's you people that get the vote. If you people are behind it and vote for it, then it'll go ahead, and it'll only go ahead if it costs $4 million or under. And that's a commitment made by the mayor and council. So I support it, but if you people turn it down, it doesn't matter what council wants. Thanks.
Name Bev Middlebrook. Too loud? Here? Is that better? There? Thank you. Yes, I really support the Sun Mine. I went to the presentation, so I totally understand it. Well, not totally, but understand some of it. I believe there's an initial investment, and it will pay off in the end, and it's a start. We have to start somewhere. We have to be creative. We have to take some risks. It is clean energy. We will always need energy, so I see it as a win-win situation. This is a new direction that could possibly lead to more tourism, and who knows where it'll go in the next 10 years. It's sustainability. Just a minute. As I said, I see it as a win-win, and we can produce our own, so how can we lose? And it's really nice to hear that Kimberley has the most sunshine in all of British Columbia. So hey.
On to the next question, and that question is going to be, what 3 things can you suggest to attract, to support, and to grow businesses and create jobs? And so we'll be hearing from Pearson, and then Craig Hillman, Melissa Broadhurst, and then Dave McFadden to wrap up.
Can you repeat that question one more time?
Absolutely, happy to repeat. What 3 things can you suggest to attract, to support, and to grow businesses and create jobs?
Okay, so let's start here. So what can we do to attract? I think we need to take care of the businesses that we have here first and get those thriving. When people see that the businesses that are already in Kimberley are doing well, they'll come here and start more businesses. How do we support them? I think we need to approach the business owners that are here and really find out what are the challenges that you have and how do we support you in those challenges? How can the city support the businesses that are here? And grow. And again, I guess I go back to my mantra of attracting people to come and live here. You need to have a base of people here to be able to grow the businesses and help them prosper. Thanks.
My name is Craig Hillman, and I'm the co-owner of a small business. So business is really near and dear to my heart. I think three things that the city can do. The first thing is to make sure that our economic development office and our economic development plan has a clear vision of the types of businesses that are going to fit in Kimberley and that are going to work with our community the way we want our community to be. So make sure that that is clear. The second thing we need to do is to make sure that at City Hall, if someone comes in with a new idea for a business that's going to create jobs, that we have a really clear roadmap for them as to how they can take that project from being an idea to actually being something that's on the ground where people are working and making a living and living in Kimberley. So we need to make sure those processes are clear and people don't get snagged somewhere in the process of developing it. The last thing we need to do is we need to make sure that our taxation system is equitable so that businesses aren't stifled by having to pay too many taxes and fees. Thank you.
Melissa Broadhurst, sorry. The first thing is we need to remember to shop local. If we don't shop local, we can't support these. So just remember to continue to shop local. And as Craig said, yeah, we have to be a little more small business friendly. We have to enable these small businesses to start up and grow and not make them have to jump through a lot of hoops. And also the taxation. We can't make their taxes high and not let them be able to make their business thrive. So that's all.
Back so soon. Another good question, and I wish I had the answer. Hey, thank you. I have a problem with it because we want to attract businesses to town. We want, I think, some light industrial base. We don't want to rely on tourism. And I kind of go, where do they go? If somebody came to me and said, I want to set up a business in town, some light manufacturing, I don't know where to put them. I think we have to have a development plan. I think as a city we've got to get land set aside. We've got to kind of put up a sign that says we're open for business. We have to regulate it, we have to make it attractive, and then our town will grow and it will grow other business. Thank you.
All right, so the next question is going to be, what are your plans for low-cost housing and seniors housing? What are the needs and the importance and the plans for these things? And so we're going to be hearing from Patty Weston, followed by Darren Close, followed by Jack Radcliffe, followed by Albert Hogland. And I'll read the question again. What are your plans for low-cost, affordable housing and seniors housing? What are the needs, importance, and plans?
Patty Weston, certainly a very important question there. As far as low-cost housing, certainly the city needs to support the developments that are on the book. I would sure like to see the Lines go ahead with that project on Church Avenue, and I think the city has been and needs to continue facilitating that happening. the city is looking at an affordable, accessible housing up in town sites, so that's in process. We need to just to continue working with the nonprofit organizations, working with the Columbia Basin Trust to provide housing. But also, it fits in with growing the economy and diversifying our economy, in that we do have fairly reasonable priced housing right now, like market level housing, compared to other communities that are near or are similar to us. So that is an economic asset for us as far as attracting young families. And beyond that, with seniors housing, we do need to work with those organizations so the people that build this community can continue living in this community as long as they like.
Darren Close. I agree with Patty. I think we have to support the plans and ideas and the development prospects that are in place with what's been going on around Kimberley. I also agree that we do have a lot of affordable product housing available, whether that, with residential dwellings, and a lot of the condominium apartment style dwellings are available on the hill, and whether that means providing some sort of alternative assistance or in-house assistance in those types of venues. I think that we have a lot available, but I just don't think we have the right plan in place to utilize the different aspects to bring it all together. Maybe that's a different way we can look at it.
Jack Radcliffe. The prime responsibility, of course, for seniors housing is with the senior governments. The cities can do all we possibly can to help out. We can smooth out the business with City Hall as far as permitting and zoning and all that type of thing come. We can also make land available for that type of construction. But the essential problem isn't really a city problem. Hopefully we can talk developers and so on and coming in and participating in it. Pass it over.
Albert Hoagland, Councillor, City of Kimberley. On this question, a policy is coming to City Council on Monday from the Affordable Housing Committee. It's a document that will hopefully bring a fourplex to the land that used to be the Cominco garages up in town site. This was brought forward by the Affordable Housing Committee and Councillor Brent Bush. The city has worked with the Lions Club, Marysville and Kimberley, to put the housing in Marysville, and we're also working with them on Church Avenue. Councillor Radcliffe is right that this is a responsibility of other governments, but the city of Kimberley has worked hard with the Affordable Housing Committee, and like I said, the two nonprofit societies. So it's an issue that is dear to Council's heart. We want to keep the people in Kimberley, and our seniors do deserve some place to live. So thank you.
So our next question is, will you support and work for a new enhanced art center accessible to all? And starting us off is going to be Kent Goodwin, followed by Ron Kerr, followed by Lori Pearson, and wrapped up by Dave Chorneko. And again, the question, will you support and work for a new enhanced art center accessible to all?
Kent Goodwin, yes.
I'm Ron Kerr. I'm a writer-photographer. I support it.
This is falling right into my plan. Part of the lifestyle thing that attracted me to Kimberley, and we have a huge number of talented artists and people here, and I think this is great, and I think that it be accessible to all is awesome. So, thank you.
David Chorneko. This came up pretty quick. Yes, I thought I could sit and wait and think for a little bit here, but after all the yeses. So, yeah, no, I believe it's a really good idea. I support arts in the community. I like to get out and see the theater. I think that's one of the reasons that my wife and I, we moved to this community is the vibrant arts community. So I think that it's a great thing for this community.
That was a very speedy response. Very clear where the candidates stand on that question. So we're now going to hear the answer to this one. What 3 things do you suggest to attract more full-time residents? And we're going to be hearing from Darren Close, Patty Weston, Laurel Ralston, and Albert Hoagland to wrap up. Again, question, what 3 things do you suggest to attract more full-time residents?
Darren Close. 3 things to attract full-time residents. Obviously, sustainable employment in the community is a big issue. We need to have employment to have full-time people, to have people living here full-time. Whether we can promote or expand the idea of the airport to allow more employment opportunities elsewhere to have people living here, be it transportation to communities outside of Kimberley, supporting people in Kimberley, having people work outside of Kimberley and just living in Kimberley, I think is very beneficial. What's difficult, I think, is that a challenge that we have, obviously, is having enough of that full-time employment opportunity in Kimberley, and I think that we have to focus on ways to provide that employment for people, be it in or out of Kimberley, that allows them to live full-time here. Thanks.
Thanks, Darren. Patty Weston. Well, I think some of these are similar to the questions about growing business and attracting business. Because over and over, what I hear talking with people is jobs, 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 and we need to strengthen our economy. And certainly having more full-time residents will do that. And so like attracts like. And so in order to do that, we need to have a coherent marketing plan. We need to look at attracting amenity migrants like young families as well as retirees. We need to look at what people enjoy about this community and make sure that we maintain that. We need to, City Hall needs to be a gateway for business. We need to facilitate that as readily as we can. And we need to think about all the different reasons that people come here. Because one of the main attractants is actually ourselves, as to how many people come here because their grandchildren are here or the grandparents are here. So there's multiple things to do on that one.
Hi, Laura Ralston again. I think the first thing we have to do is get them to visit here. I can tell you that when I moved here, I certainly didn't think that I was necessarily going to be staying for 5 years, and I didn't think that I was going to be running for council. But I came here and I fell in love with the place, and I couldn't imagine, I have a hard time imagining leaving now that I'm here. So let's get people here, number one. Number two, I think it's really important that we have a very vibrant cultural life. People want to be able to work here, and other candidates have addressed the work issue. It's also very important that they have things to do and a variety of things to do outside of work. We have a really strong arts community. We have fantastic outdoor opportunities. We need a combination of that to get people to stay. And the other thing, too, I think, is to make sure that, we're in a great position because we have an airport right here, and so it's really important, I think, that people know that when they're here, they're not isolated, and that we make sure that they can get everything that they need in town, but also that they're connected to the rest of the country.
Albert Hoagland. I think the first thing we have to do is get out there that Kimberley is a safe, affordable place to live. and get that message out there. I think we have to also keep all our amenities up to show them that we do have our arenas, we do have our parks, we do have our trails. It is a nice place to come and live. And I'm not sure if all you know, but at the end of the month we will be sending a delegation to Fort McMurray to try to get the people to come and live in Kimberley and travel to Fort McMurray on their 2 weeks off, or 2 weeks in, 2 weeks out, or 1 week in, 1 week out. I think that's important, and we just don't stop at Fort McMurray. I think that is a very important part of things now, is people live somewhere and work somewhere else. We have people that work in the diamond mines up north, they love Kimberley. And I think we got to get that word out that we are a nice place to live and to commute from.
Been waiting for. Aw. So here we are. Should the number of city deer be reduced? How to do it, how to finance it. So we're going to be hearing on this question from Don McCormick, from Melissa Broadhurst, from Dave Chernako, and wrapped up by Bev Middlebrook. So again, should the number of city deer be reduced, how to do it, and how to finance it.
I've been waiting for this question the entire evening. And in truth, I have. As far as I understand, a committee of concerned citizens was put together some time ago. They put a plan together, made some recommendations, and a decision has been made. What we need to do now is get on with it.
I ditto those comments. Something has to be done. We've already formed a committee, came up with some recommendations, so now we have to let the committee implement what they've come up with. Thank you.
David Chernako. When we talk about deer, one of the things that council needs to be talking about is that Kimberley is a safe community. Even with the wildlife risk that we do have in this community, Kimberley still is a very safe community, and that needs to be said. I'm one of the people that like the deer, and but I will support. There's a couple of people out there that like the deer. I've been going door to door, and I've been to about 1,500 doors, and lots of people have told me that the deer numbers need to be reduced in this community, and I will listen to that, and so I will support the reduction in the number of deer in this community through a cull.
Bev Middlebrook. I have a sincere love of all animals. I'm a big animal lover, big SPCA supporter, so it's really tough for me to hear that we have a deer problem. I personally have never had a problem, but if other people are, then that's a problem, because we have to have safety in our community. We have to come first. I'm glad that we have a committee that is working on this issue and research has been done. And as long as I'm sure and confident that it'll be done in the most humane, safe way for everybody, and I'm really hoping if that is the resort that we do come to, then maybe the meat can be used for the food bank and the cycle of life continues. Thank you.
Next question. So we're now into our final three questions. Do you support a new city hall? And we are going to hear from Dave McFadden, followed by Craig Hillman, then Kent Goodwin, and Ron Kerr. So again, do you support the new city hall?
Wow. I should have read the board before I came up here. I think if we're talking bricks and mortar, I don't think so. I think if we're talking about how it's running and what's going on behind those doors and how we get that message out and how we respond to the citizens, I'm obviously a big yes on that. That's why I'm standing up here tonight. Thank you. I'm Dave McFadden.
I think we've already heard quite a bit about the fact that our tax base is not really big. We don't have lots of money to throw around. I think a new city hall would be prohibitively expensive. And I think that people in our community look to the city for an example. We have a very old building that's a city hall, but there's new technology, there's things that we could do, there are improvements that we can make over time that will make it more efficient. And I think the city needs to take the lead, and then people in the community can follow, and they can look at those kinds of things too. So if we can reduce the cost of operating that building, if we can make it safer, we can reduce the energy use, then I think that should be the focus.
Yes, Kent Goodwin. No, I wouldn't support a new city hall at this time. I wonder if behind the question is a concern about issues with how efficiently things are working at City Hall, whether the space is appropriate, and certainly we need to look into that stuff. But, I'd go for a coat of paint for sure. Bye.
Ron Kerr, we were all rich and had a lot of money. I think we should have a new city hall. That said, I've been in that building a number of times. I've looked at that building a number of times. I looked at the Civic Center for a number of times, and boy, was I ever happy when they painted it. So I think City Hall probably falls into the same category. I think there's a number of things that could be done to spruce it up a little bit, make it a little more efficient for people working in there. I don't know what the costs are in terms of being able to do more insulation or things like that, but I think some improvements could be made so we don't have to spend all the money we don't have.
All right, so next question is, do you favor a balanced budget, and how do you achieve this? Just a little question. Yeah, so the question is, do you favor a balanced budget, and what would you do to achieve this? And we will be hearing from Melissa Broadhurst, followed by Daryl Oakley, Laurel Ralston, and wrapped up by Kent Goodwin.
Good evening, Melissa Broadhurst. Of course I support a balanced budget. Everything has a budget and it's good if it's balanced, I guess. So yeah, I support it. What was the second?
What would you do to achieve it?
What would I do to achieve it? Well, first I have to get on council, so you have to all vote me in first, and then I will try and do whatever I can. Thank you.
Daryl Oakley. Of course, I support a balanced budget. I work with the Alzheimer's Society of BC, and not only do we balance the budget, but we grow our surplus. We have a 25% surplus based on our annual revenue, and I expect to see the same and would work for the same in the city of Kimberley. We currently have a surplus that is getting dangerously low, and I understand that we needed that to get through the transition from Kamenko closing, but we need the surplus to be back up around the 5 million mark. It's currently down around 700,000 or even lower, I believe. So how do we do that? We actually have to have a lot more families moving into this town. We need more tax revenue because I don't want to do this on the backs of all of you guys. I don't want our taxes to go ridiculously high. I just want them based on fixed costs like gas and heating and stuff. So yes, balance this thing, but grow the surplus. We have got to be ready for the 200-year event if it ever happens in Mark Creek. Thank you.
It's Kent Goodwin again. Yes, I certainly support a balanced budget, and we are indeed drawing down our surplus. This is one of those very difficult questions that councils agonize over every year when they do the budget. And I am a real fiscal conservative. My time as treasurer of the Community Foundation has taught me that you really have to be prudent when times are tough and not spend any more than you're actually taking in. I don't have a detailed plan for how we would do it, but I'm pretty confident that if you elect me, I'll be able to figure that one out. Thank you.
Laurel Ralston again. Of course, I also support a balanced budget, and this is something that I've had experience with working with the Kimberley Arts Council as well. Arts are not super profitable, and so the challenge that we face, of course, is to come up with creative ways of using the money that we have and creative ways of generating more revenue. And so I think that at the city level as well, you need to use your ingenuity. You need to be frugal, but we also need to think long term, and I think it's really important. As a council, you have to make, and as anybody who's responsible for a budget, inevitably you end up making really difficult decisions, and there's always more that you want to do than that you're able to do. And so I just think it's really important that when we're making those choices that we always make sure that we are making decisions based on what the values of their community are and based on the long-term planning and understanding that the way that you spend your money right now can make a difference years and years and years down the line.
Hard to believe we're now at the last question. So here we go, and we are, let's get the speaking order up here. Here it goes. What does stewardship, leadership, and teamwork mean to you in creating a harmonious community, and how will you communicate this with our community? And so kicking us off will be Bev Middlebrook, and we'll hear from Daryl Oakley, then from Jack Radcliffe, and to wrap up the entire question and answer period, it will be Tim Park. So I'll read the question one more time. What does stewardship, leadership, and teamwork mean to you in creating a harmonious community, and how will you communicate this with the community?
Bev Middlebrook. I definitely believe in all three, and I try to practice all three as I go through my career and work with my staff and do my community work. I think leadership is really important. Without a leader, then the people are lost. You have to have leadership, it has to have clear communication, it has to be enthusiastic, and it has to be valued. Teamwork. My experience has been I couldn't achieve what I have achieved without my team. My team is everything to me, and it's really important that we work as a team, the community as a team, council as a team, and I believe that we can go far together with enthusiasm, stewardness, leadership, and teamwork. Thank you.
I still want to talk about the derelict buildings, but I'll talk to you later about that inside. One of the things that I'm really interested in developing in Kimberley is the shoulder seasons. And one of the ways to do that is to communicate with all the key players that are absolutely right in front of our nose here. And there's a lot of brilliance in this town to do that, and they're waiting for the opportunities to network strongly with this community. So it's a process of working with all the players, and I know this community well, and I know it has happened over the years. It's a beautiful community to work in, to get stuff done. This is a can-do community, and I just know that if you work with everybody, stuff will get done, and it will be fine. Thank you.
Jack Radcliffe. All of these qualities are important, and they're important in everything you do. It's probably exaggerated to some degree on council. Council can argue back and forth, but once it reaches a decision, it's expected that everybody will support the decision that's been reached. As far as communicating to the public, we do only a fair job with the city It would be nice if the CRTC hadn't taken off the ruling about having to have community service to renew your license. As soon as they took that away, of course, they dropped TV service from small communities like ours. And I think we should maybe agitate a bit and see if we can get that back. And I think everybody realizes these three qualities are essential. They're our life, and we have to carry through them. Thank you.
The last question, I'm the last guy. Thanks very much for your patience. Stewardship, leadership, and teamwork. The leadership, from my perspective, is the leader would be the inspiration for the collective unity of the community. That's what it's going to take. And based on that, what's going to occur is based on taking responsibility for ourselves, then we will become stewards of our own destiny. We will become the stewards of our resources. We will become the stewards of our community. We will become the stewards of our children. And that's the most important. And that's going to come about through the communication that I talked about earlier. When everybody knows what's going on at the same time and everybody's in agreement, then we are going to create a team that's just absolutely astounding, truly astounding, and we'll be able to do great things.
Thank you very much, candidates. An incredible array of thought and perspective, and just really underscores how rich our community is. So we're now going to go into the final wrap-up presentations from each of the candidates. So they'll have up to 90 seconds each, a minute and a half, that sounds better, to share their final thoughts with you. We're going to do reverse speaking order from the beginning, and so I'll just remind these folks the order. So we're going to start with Bev, then Darren, Kent, Laurel, Albert, Lori, Dave Chernako, Melissa, Tim, Don, Ron, Craig, Daryl, Jack, Dave McFadden, and Patty. Crap, it's going to be so hard on election day to narrow it down to 6 people. Really. So, without further ado, I invite Bev to come lead us off.
Bev Middlebrook. In closing, I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak to you tonight. I feel very blessed to have lived in Kimberley. My experiences, knowledge I have gained. I've also gained some big city experiences along the way. In the 90s, I moved to Vancouver to experience the city. And at work, they called me the country girl. And I asked them, why do you call me the country girl? And they said, well, it's the way you speak. So a little while later, I was feeling a bit self-conscious. I'm at an event and an Englishman sitting beside me, and he says, oh, I know where you're from. I said, oh yeah? How's that? Oh, by the way you speak. I said, oh yeah, where am I from? Newfoundland, he said. I guess we leave the G's off our words when we speak. However, I am proud to be a Kimberley country girl with a dash of city experience, and I value the opportunity to lead and represent this community and its people. Yes, we've been in a transition in the last decade, if not brief. We lost our friends, we lost our jobs, our homes, and our security. But we are moving on. We are now a growing kettle pot of values, a mix and a blend, and we are forming a new community, a new culture. However, we must never forget about where we came from and who we are. And I am proud to be that Kimberley country girl. Thank you very much, and vote for Bev.
Under the gun again. Darren Close. It's clear, I think, out of everything said today that we as a community definitely have to grow. We choose to live here in Kimberley because of the lifestyle and the opportunities that it affords us and the environment that it provides to raise our families in. We've seen a great deal of families come to Kimberley in the past few years, and I've had the pleasure of helping a lot of them move here, and that's reflected in the growth of population that we see in our elementary schools. It's a very positive thing, and that's the kind of momentum that we want to maintain and keep moving in the right direction. We as a city have to work to support that. We have to diversify and develop the economy, and everybody on City Council indeed has to work together as a group, not just one individual person fighting for their own opinion. We have to understand everybody's opinion, and we have to understand everybody's value. Change is not a negative thing. It is growth. It is evolutionary. We started out as children, became adults, parents, and even grandparents. We accept these changes, and we assume the roles that they evolve into. The City of Kimberley and its representation is no different. You right now have an opportunity to not just maintain who we are, but to help us evolve and bring strong, stable representation across the entire demographic spectrum. Make the voice of Kimberley your voice. Get out, vote, November 19th. 5 other people and me, Darren Close. Thank you.
Yes, hello, Kent Goodwin again. Just a couple of things. First of all, I want you to know that I'm going to answer all the questions that were asked tonight on my webpage, hopefully within 48 hours. So if you didn't hear my answer to some, you can see it there. The second thing is I really need to make a comment on the Sun Mine before I leave. I didn't get asked that question. I've been digging into the technical aspects of that for the last 3 weeks, and there are a bunch of unanswered questions. The numbers have changed since the open house, and it really is looking a little different than it did when we started. Having said that, I want you to all vote yes in the referendum because it keeps the door open. Just make sure that whoever you elect digs into it and is absolutely clear about the cost-benefit analysis before they go ahead with it, because some things do have changed. And just a couple of general comments. I would love to be on a city council made up of 7 energetic individuals with diverse backgrounds, all working together as a team. I think we need to focus on the core services and infrastructure, street sidewalks, water and sewer, fire protection and policing, but we also need to be a catalyst for the rest of the community in their efforts to turn problems into solutions. And I think I can help with that. Thank you.
Laura Ralston again, and as my fellow trumpet player, we're not competitive at all, would have said, it's your last chance to screw up. So, I'm just going to first of all refer everybody to my website as well, laurelralston.ca. I also am going to be trying to answer all of the questions that we've been asked tonight. They've been some great questions, and some that I would have loved to answer as well. But basically, I just want to leave you with a couple of thoughts on what it means to work in a community. It's a huge, huge privilege to work with people, and we've got a whole community of very extraordinary, ordinary people here. And we also have a community of just absolutely abundant wealth in terms of the natural resources, but wealth also in terms of the creative and intellectual and just pure heart resources that we have here. And I hope that you will elect me to council so that I can help capitalize that and help capitalize on it and help grow it. Because what we have in this community is really absolutely unbelievable. And I just really, cherish the opportunity to contribute, time and again more than what I've gotten, which has been extraordinary. I also just want to remind you all that when you're choosing who you're going to vote for, first of all, you don't have to vote for 6 people. You can vote for fewer people. And so if you really want to maximize your vote, if you've got a few people that you're really strong on, vote only for them. And I hope that I will be one of them. And the other thing is vote not only on what people think, but on how they think, because that's what's going to move us forward. Thank you.
Albert Hoagland. Just in closing, I'd like to thank you people for coming tonight, because we wouldn't be here without you people taking out your valuable time to try to look at the issues and ask the tough questions of all the candidates up here. I also like to thank the Chamber
for organizing this event, Siobhan. I'd like to thank our moderator, Ingrid. You did a very good job in keeping us all in line and keeping us to where we're supposed to be going. And good luck to the fellow candidates on November 19th. I just want to say one thing, though, is that I've been in this business for 23 years, and municipalities cannot have a deficit budget. The province can, the federal government can, but the municipalities, at the end of the day, must only spend the revenue that they get. So anyone here will learn that awful quick, because budgets will be coming to them as soon as the elections are over. And once again, all I want to do is remind you people to get out and vote on November 19th. It's your right, it's your privilege. It was fought for a long time ago. I would like to be your representative. I like to think I bring a strong voice and level-headedness to all forms of the government. So once again, thank you all for coming tonight. We'll see you on November 19th.
Hi again. I'm Lori Pearson. I'm a nurse, and I'm also part of the regional executive for the East Kootenays. I sit on the council now. We develop strategic plans and manage a budget. I listen to people throughout the region and make decisions based on what I've heard from those people. I'm not afraid to challenge people, and I'm not afraid to hold people accountable. And if I'm on council, that is something that am totally prepared to do, is hold people accountable for decisions that are made, and tap into the resources that we have amongst all of you. I have a phone number in the phone book, and anyone who wants to call me, please call me and talk. That's my best mode of communication with you, is to let me know what you're thinking so that I can take those concerns forward and bring those to a council table. This has been a great opportunity, and I'm really glad to see so many people out, and I really hope that when you do decide who you're going to vote for, that you spread the word on what you've heard here today. I think a lot of times it's very different when you see people and hear how they speak, what they have to say, as opposed to some written materials or something that you may have heard somewhere else along the line. So if you're looking for someone to come and listen to you and take what you want forward to the table, then I'm your person. So vote Lori Pearson. And advanced is tomorrow if you're going out of town.
David Schnagle. I'd like to thank the Chamber and Ingrid and everybody here for coming out tonight. Thank you for being engaged in civic politics. I feel this is very important. Go to my website and see what I have to say. I have an extensive platform. I've written quite a bit on there. And I also have links to all the other candidates who have websites and a web presence. So go to my website first and do your research there. Since I've started this campaign, I've knocked on about 1,500 doors in Kimberley, and I have about 1,000 left to go. The most important thing that I've found that the door knocking has taught me is how important it is for a politician to talk to the people in the community. To me, it confirms how important my platform is. If you vote for me, I'm committed in engaging the community on an ongoing basis for the next 3 years and creating a progressive modern democracy that is engaged with its citizens. The one thing that I'd like to add to Kimberley over the next 3 years is public dialogue, grassroots democracy. It's the foundation of democracy. So I'm asking you to support me in this, alongside whatever goals and objectives you may have in this election. Make one of your votes David Schnagle. Thank you.
In closing, good luck to all the candidates in this upcoming election, and above all else, please encourage all eligible voters to come out either in the advanced polls on November 19th, and hopefully you will vote a young, new, fresh, energetic voice to council, Melissa Broadhurst.
to reiterate what everybody else is going to say, thank you very much for coming out here tonight. It's very important. For those of you who've heard my message, well, that's what I'm about, but who am I? I'm the guy that writes the messages on the chalkboard on Rotary Drive, and so you can connect me to that. I speak from compassion. I have a great deal of compassion for this community. I have a great deal of compassion for the citizens of the community, and I have a great deal of compassion for life in general. We are not going to go anywhere unless we do this all together. You know, we can just toddle along and do nothing, and life's going to go on. But if we are the leading edge, if we are holding this election, if we are creating our own future, then I would suggest that you have the ability to use your voice and create whatever future you choose. Truly, whatever future you choose. So on November 19th, I would suggest vote Tim Park. And in closing, I'd say vote and take 10 friends. Thank you.
Throughout the course of the evening, the questions that you have put together for us have fallen into a couple of categories. We've talked about issues, most of which involves spending money of some kind, and let's face it, nothing is free. And secondly, we've heard a lot about leadership and queries for all of us on who is going to provide that kind of leadership or the best leadership moving forward in Kimberley. So what I'd like to see is a show of hands on how many people want their taxes increased. I didn't think so. Neither do I. Sound economic leadership over the next 3 years will ensure that our tax burden is kept to a manageable level. I believe that I have the experience, the knowledge, and the skill to be able to provide the leadership and make this happen. If you like what you hear, please vote Don McCormick on November 19th.
I'm Ron Kerr, and you'll notice they didn't ask me anything about deer. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to leave you with a few thoughts. Councillors serve on a variety of committees relative to the city's initiatives. If anything is to be accomplished, it requires a commitment of time and energy. Being semi-retired gives me an opportunity to focus on those things. To that end, I feel I work well with other people, and I know the value of arriving at a consensus. I don't expect people to always agree with me, nor will I agree with them. But I will always listen to their comments and their ideas. I believe in achievable goals and objectives. I believe in fiscal responsibility. I'm not any more excited about having my taxes raised than you are. If elected, I will do my utmost to serve you. And because I've got a few extra seconds, I can help you eliminate your problem when it comes to selecting candidates. Go down the list, check off Ron Kerr, and then you only have 5 other people to worry about. It's been my pleasure to talk to you tonight.
So my name is Craig Hillman, purple shirt, purple signs. If we do have to put a coat of paint on City Hall, I promise that I will listen to you and not paint it purple. I want to go out on a limb here because there's a lot of people that I've met out in the foyer, and there's people I can see in the audience that I know, but there's a lot of people here that I don't know. So I'm going to ask you to do me one favor. Don't believe anything I say, okay? If I say that I know about business because I've been involved with the Chamber of Commerce or because I run a small business with my wife in the Platteville, don't believe it. Talk to somebody who I've sat around the chamber table with, and they'll tell you what it is, all right? If I say that I know how to solve complex problems because I've worked with the Teachers Association and helped people in the schools to resolve things and worked with administrators and teachers and kids and parents, don't believe me. Go talk to a teacher in Kimberley and ask them about what I do, okay? If I say that I know what sustainability is or what it means to have a green community, don't believe me, all right? Go talk to somebody who has a straw bale house or a timber frame or is using renewable energy and has done that in the last 15 years. I've only been here for 15 years. I'm a newcomer to Kimberley, okay? So, lastly, if I say that I know about what service means or what leadership means, don't believe me. Go ask somebody who I've worked with on a community organization or doing something to better the city of Kimberley. Thank you.
Darrell Oakley again. I'd just like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's been a huge honor to be here tonight and also to be campaigning throughout the community. I could never have imagined the depth and the level of depth that I have had conversations with locals and found out how much love there is for this community. It's been an amazing journey, and of course I don't want to come in last, so if you pick my name on the ballot first, that would probably be a good thing. I really want to focus on the finance ball. I don't want to lose sight of that. It's the way I operate as a board member with the Alzheimer's Society of BC. Everything stems from that. But I do want, in saying that, I want to have a lot of fun here. This is a great community. It's amazing. There's so much compassion. There's not a lot of us here. There's 6,200 people. It's a nice size. If the financial ball is kept an eye on, and I will do that, we will actually be able to have other things happen in this community. For instance, when we replace the north wall in the arena, we will be able to have a platform so it's all one level. So seniors can go for a hike in the dead of winter because they have nowhere to walk right now. That kind of stuff. If we have to replace the concrete flue in Mark Creek, we will be able to make a world-class urban kayak center to help in our tourism platform. Those kinds of things, if we keep an eye on the finance ball. Thank you.
For coming out this evening. Thank Ingrid for moderating, Siobhan and the Chamber for sponsoring this event. Kimberley had a percentage voter turnout of 48%, which is amazingly high for municipalities, but it's pretty low for everything else. So let's see a real great turnout on the 19th. We have a real talented group of candidates here. Melissa earlier mentioned she'd like the support of a young, energetic person. I'd like you to support a little older, energetic person. If elected, I promise to work hard for you as I have before. Thank you.
I got somebody else's speeches here. I have to congratulate you all. The night's just about over. You're really still all here. It's probably been more fun than I ever dreamt. I've been listening to the questions. I'm listening to what we're facing in the future. We have to work within a budget. I understand that. I also know that I've worked in organizations in town, and I know that City Council faces just a parade of people coming and asking for money. That's what makes it hard. We have to pick our battles and go with it. What I want to promise to you is that if you get me behind your project, and I have a couple key ones in mind, if the young ladies want to talk about it out there, but come to me. I'm not the guy who's going to try and find that easy excuse. I'm kind of the guy, I'll bend a few rules, I'll make things happen, and I'll help you make it happen. So please, my name's in the phone book, my number's in the phone book, my phone number's on, I think, the cards we're giving out tonight as a bit of an information package. I would really like the opportunity to do this. This town has given us great support for 2 decades. It's time for me to give some back. Thank you very much.
Patty Weston. I also want to express my appreciation for your kind and thoughtful attention and the great organization of the Chamber of Commerce and our MC, Ingrid Liepa. Really efficient job here. My vision for Kimberley is similar to many that have mentioned here and to the people that I've been listening to when I've been door knocking and for the 3 years that I've worked on council. a vibrant, attractive place, a wonderful place to raise children, a great place to live, work, and play. And I would be honored to have a second term to work with some of these fine people to help continue to make that happen. In my first term, I've worked hard to listen and to respond to citizens' concern and to improve the communication and the efficiency at City Hall. If you honor me with your vote, along with the rest of Council, I will strive to build an economic toolkit, exercise careful stewardship of our tax dollars and infrastructure, and continue to promote collaboration on all levels. So on November 19th, when you go to Centennial Hall, I have some directions about that creeping long ballot that you're going to get as well. I would suggest that you start at the bottom, because my name is Patty Weston with the W, and I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
Outstanding individuals in front of you who have just shared from their heart. Let's give them all a big round of applause. All right, about 1 minute till we promise to end this. So I'll be very crisp and short. We have another half hour with the candidates outside, informal, to mingle, to talk, to share, to engage, to keep the dialogue going, challenge, question, get those ideas out there. There's also the vision boards. If you haven't already contributed your questions and issues, please do, as well as your visions for 2014. And if you have some new ones as a result of hearing the candidates this evening, please add them, because that's going to roll into tomorrow's forum as well. And having said that, please come back tomorrow. If you enjoyed tonight, I know I sure did. Come back tomorrow, bring your friends, bring your family, spread the word, bring strangers. This is, yeah, absolutely. Our leadership is really important to our community, and everything that we can do to really bring that together is significant steps forward. Vote. I'm going to add, in addition to November 19th, there's the advance polls on November 9th and 16th. And just to wrap up, thank you very much for your attention, and we will see you tomorrow. Good night.